So when I was rereading the manga the other day, I got to the pre-Timeskip Sasuke vs Naruto Final Valley fight, and I realized that Sasuke's power during that match might actually be underrated in the community. After that, I did a poll on my Instagram channel asking who's stronger between Curse Mark 2 Sasuke from the Sasuke Retrieval arc and Part 1 Kakashi, and most people voted for Kakashi, but I honestly would disagree with that. I know Sasuke was kind of fodder during some of the arcs in Part 1, like when Rock Lee was throwing him around, but by the time he gets his curse mark and starts getting familiar with his power, he definitely surpasses all of his peers, and he even would have surpassed Kakashi before the time skip happened too. So to start this off, we gotta go over the lore of Sasuke's curse mark. Sasuke's curse seal of heaven is stated to be the strongest of Orochimaru's curse marks alongside the curse seal of earth. This means it should be stronger than Jirobo's curse mark, and his curse mark gives him a 10 times power amp. So a 10 times multiplier should work as a minimum for what Sasuke's curse mark provides. The curse mark's lore goes a bit deeper than this, as we find out later on that the curse marks has Shinjutsu chakra in them the entire time. The curse mark transformation is later classified as a sage transformation by Jugo, and we know Sasuke's curse mark involved him transforming just like Jugo did. So when Sasuke is fully transformed, he's technically in a sage transformation. I'm definitely not saying this state is near the level of a real sage, since we know Orochimaru never became a real sage, and being a real sage gives you other abilities like danger sensing, chakra sensing, and just a way higher power buff in general, but nonetheless, the sage state Sasuke goes into notably increases his power, speed, and durability, and knowing that it's powered by a form of Shinjutsu just adds on to the overall narrative of how powerful it would be. Sasuke in his curse mark sage transformation goes on to compete against and beat Naruto while he's transformed into his one-tailed Kyuubi form. When Naruto transformed into his one-tailed form, it's stated to be his utmost and ultimate power, which implies he's at the strongest he's ever been at that time. This is important to consider since throughout Part 1, Naruto is able to fight and beat very powerful people. In the Chunin exams, we see Naruto is able to beat both Neji and Gaara. Neji at that time was seen as the top Genin of the Leaf, and Gaara was seen as the top of the Sand Village. So Naruto could already beat the best of the best, even during the Chunin exams, and Naruto would have just been a lot stronger during his fight with Sasuke. Another point to bring up is Naruto's encounter with Haku. With Kurama's chakra, he was able to catch Haku and practically one-shot him. Even though it can be argued that Haku was holding back some during the fight, it's still stated in the databook that Naruto completely surpassed Haku's power when he was enraged. Naruto being able to temporarily surpass Haku would also mean he briefly surpassed Kakashi, since Haku was stated on multiple occasions to be stronger than Kakashi, and even after Haku was beat up and he used a lot of his chakra with his ice mirrors, he could still blitz Kakashi before Kakashi could finish off Zabuza. Now some people might try to argue that Haku only scales to the earliest version of Kakashi, and that he would have gotten much stronger throughout Part 1, but that interpretation isn't really implied in the story. In Chapter 93, it's revealed to us that Kakashi has actually been rusty for a while, and he needs to train to reach the power he once had. So we can safely say Kakashi, since his introduction chapter to Chapter 93, hasn't gotten any huge training imps. After Chapter 93, he has to train Sasuke, which then leads to the Konoha Crush arc, and at the end of that arc, Hiruzen is killed, so I doubt Kakashi would have had the free time to just train. 2 days after Hiruzen is killed, Kakashi gets hit with the Tsukiyomi, which leaves him in a coma all the way up until around Chapter 172, and after that, he's sent on a mission, and when he comes back from that same mission, he finds out that Sasuke left, and he tries to go help, but obviously he doesn't make it in time, and that's basically how Part 1 ends. So realistically, Kakashi wouldn't have had enough time to train to get strong enough to surpass Haku, since the time he would have had really would have just been in the coma, or just not pushing himself to get stronger. So with Haku comfortably scaling over Part 1 Kakashi, and Naruto scaling above Haku, that means Sasuke with his curse mark powers during the Final Valley would also scale above Haku and therefore Kakashi. Curse mark Sasuke scaling over Part 1 Kakashi would actually make him a major threat when just looking at Part 1 characters. In the databook, Kakashi is stated to be the strongest ninja in the village, and there's another statement calling him the top Jonin in the village. So it's narratively consistent for Kakashi to be the strongest ninja in the Leaf Village, outside of people like the Hokage and the Sannin, obviously. It's also stated in Part 1 that the top of Konoha is the top of everything, which implies that Konoha was the strongest village back in part 1. So Kakashi being the strongest Jonin in the strongest village pretty much scales him over 95% of part 1. Since Sasuke scales higher than this, he pretty much can take on anyone that comes at him, except the god tiers in part 1 like the Sannin or the Akatsuki. So yeah, that's about it for this video. Sasuke scaling a lot higher than Naruto's peak power before the time skip makes him a huge threat, and he could definitely beat most people that appeared in part 1. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like it and subscribe to see more. Thanks for watching.